Guys, thanks for joining me. This is a 5 minutes that we're going to chat on who Elohim is. So this is my PowerPoint slide. This is the early account from the ancient Semitic understanding of the writings that are found. And generally, we will think that Moses' writings would be the earliest of them that you will see on the right left hand corner. So discerning the original meanings of what was conveyed before the translation took place must be something that we will need to consider. So let's go back to a childlike way of how we saw the early writings and look at some of the early translations and see how we would discern this whole understanding of who Elohim is to us. So we are doing it in a nutshell. So in a nutshell, we find in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, I like this whole understanding of Elohim of all, meaning that he is high above everything else. But in the earliest translation, in the summit, that means outside a time-space constraint and the mess that we see, Elohim fattened the sky and the land. The fatten terminology usually talks about special feasts where a meal is prepared, and we can see this fattening taking place because of the fact that we're going to see a, a man being formed, and that's the love and the apple of God's eye, made in his image and likeness. So this child, this son, would be the one that everything here is made for. So we'll see in the two dimension of the heavenly and the earthly, we will see this whole introduction of the birthings. So the terminology I like to look at here is the birthings, is the toldot. Although they're just one letter that is slightly different, you can see that ancient Hebrew has added one as well. So we are considering the ancient Hebrew and looking at the word birthings. We will see that in the heavenly dimension, there are plenty of things that are happening. The formation of birds and deaths of stars and trillions of that going on. And in the earthly dimension, we also have that. So if you consider the birthings in the earthly dimension, Noah is introduced to reset the earth again. And of course, through this whole reset, we see the need for Jesus to also come into this lineage as the first person that we saw in Genesis 1:1 was created, went into a sin situation. So Jesus came in to restore back the relationship with God the Father, and in whose image we are made in. So now we consider the fact that Elohim, who is the artist, the writer, or the builder, standing outside this, although there's a first destruction of flood, is resetting it again. As you see, the universe here will all be collapsing, and the people who are mankind who have followed after the modeling of Jesus from the beginning, right at the time from Adam all the way to now, at this point where in Revelation 6:14 it says, and the heavens were split apart as a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island out of their place were moved. So the whole collapsing of the universe and the earth being completely taken up by the second destruction, which is fire, where mankind who had modeled after Jesus, who have quietened and followed after God, who had learned to love God, will be then taken into his being. And together with God, they will live forever and ever in this new heaven and new earth. So that's is in a nutshell what we are seeing that's happening. I like us to also look at the discoveries made in the last 30 years by the Hubble telescope for us to just imagine the grandeur of Elohim in how he had created all of the universe. So this is where we will stop for today's discussion. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye.